I want to start off this episode with two definitions because you might have seen the episode title Serving Refills and was like, what is that? What are we talking about today? So, two definitions that I give you a little more context. Extroversion describes an aspect of a personality that is often characterized by expressive and outgoing patterns of behavior. People who are extroverts tend to be very talkative, social, active, and warm, or as many of us know it, an extrovert may be defined as someone who feels energized by the external world and social interactions. On the flip side, an introvert is a person with qualities of introversion, which means that they feel more comfortable focusing on their inner thoughts and ideas rather than what's happening externally. An introvert enjoys spending time with just one or two people or smaller groups rather than large groups or crowds. Welcome to another episode. You're listening to the Feed the Soul podcast. We're talking about tackling tough stuff, chasing dreams, and figuring out who we really are. Each episode ends with a word of advice or encouragement. A nugget of inspiration to empower you to dream big and take that leap of faith into the wild adventure of life. Welcome to another episode of the Feed the Soul podcast. I am feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good in general. I just moved. And so if you're watching this and if you've been following since the beginning, this is a new setup that I have. I've moved spaces and it's been a journey. If you ever move, you lose stuff. So I had to buy new equipment or pieces, and I have more equipment and pieces coming just to update things. And because I don't know, I still have boxes to unpack, but I think just misplaced or donated things that I maybe should not have. And even starting off this episode, basically I've been thinking quite a bit about my personality. I started the episode off with two definitions of extroversion and introversion. And lately I've been thinking about how I am recharging my battery, how I am refilling my cup. So let's take you back. Story time. I've always prided myself on being an extrovert. I always thought being an extrovert was really cool, really needed. I don't know. I think that I was complimented on being an extrovert, so I kind of just ran with that. Even taking personality test, my personality test state that my top 5 strengths, if you know Strength Finders quiz, it's a personality test to learn more about your strengths. It's really big with corporations and businesses for teams. But a lot of my strengths fall into relationship building. And I think I always thought relationship building, I needed to be this outgoing, extroverted person. And from the definition, right, it was social, outgoing person. And I learned that extroverts also get a lot of energy or refill their cups through social gatherings and through other people. Whereas introverts, if I'm really honest, I didn't understand. I was wow, you're really your introverts can be quieter sometimes, not always, right? But they have this time of introspection that I didn't always understand. And I think because I was an external processor, but also thinking, wow, how do you spend so much time with yourself? In college, I never ate by myself in college. never ate by myself. I always thought, like, why would anyone do that? I'd see people in a dining hall who ate by themselves, and I would always want to go and eat with them and be with them. And that's also one of my top 5 strengths is inclusion. I'm an includer. And relationship. No, what was it called? Relator. And so I wanted to be around people. There was one person during in college who later, like, I was a peer advisor is what we call them. So if you know anything about like students going to college, they would have orientation. And during orientation, the new freshmen, incoming freshmen would go to the college. They'd register for classes, take tours of campus, get to know the lay of the land, etc. I was a peer advisor. I was one of those people who was there hyping up the freshmen like, it's going to be great. This is going to be amazing. Welcome. And I just felt like the training led itself to that kind of energy. Like, this is what the peer advisors are supposed to be like. But I guess thinking back and looking back at some of the other peer advisors, we actually had a good mix. Like, there were Courtney, you, right? Kayla, Emily? Very extroverted people. And then we had some of the more introverted. But it was like this really good balance that we had, and looking back, that was necessary, like that was needed. There was one student I had his freshman year. His name was Taylor. We ended up getting to know each other over his 4 years, played volleyball together. His senior year, he was graduating, and he reminded me that I was his peer advisor, and I was like, that is so cool. I love that you remember that, and that was a memorable experience for you. But one of the things he said was, I was intimidating. My energy, my extroversionness was intimidating. And I first was offended. What? Me? My energy is intimidating? At that time, when he told me, I was then like professional staff. So I was like 25, maybe 26. So basically at an age where I could process that, think about that and say, what does that mean? But all in all, I was like, okay, but I am an extrovert. The purpose of this episode came about, though, because recently I have been thinking about, am I really an extrovert? Because I've been spending a lot of time with myself. There's also another person, Tracy, who had said, Savion, I think you're more introverted than you think you are. And this was back in college as well. And so there's always kind of been this like wanting to learn more about extroversion and introversion. And I did do some research. I do remember thinking back and looking into those words and what those personalities mean and what those words mean and how that shows up in people's lives. And ultimately, there's no right or wrong. We need both. We balance each other out. And actually, a third to a half of people are introverted. Does that make the other half extroverted? No, but we'll come back to that. So lately, I've been feeling tired, like being around people. And so that got me thinking of like, am I transitioning to an introvert? What does that even mean? To like go from extrovert to an introvert? Is that something that just happens over time? When you think about it, like older folks, I think spend a lot of time together. Like they don't care to go to a social or go to a party. Like they are fine waking up, being by themselves, or they have their small group. My first job was working at McDonald's, and we had our regulars every morning. Regulars are coming in for their senior coffee, and they sit in the back and they chat. 5 people, right? I thought about that, but it also got me thinking about people just want to be with the right people. Those people who refill their cup. And that's where the title came from, serving refills. Who are we surrounding ourselves with that is basically bringing out the best in us, bringing out our best selves? And is that also something that helps to refill the cup? Because I was thinking, because I say this a lot, what is it that you do that refills your cup? What recharges you besides people, right? What recharges you? What fills your cup? And for some people, it's playing video games, which is a very introversion thing to do. Being by themselves, playing video games, even if they are chatting with other people, they still have this moment with themselves. Watching TV and recharging through that, taking a walk in nature by yourself. We all have this aspect of introversion. We also have an aspect of extroversion. For the most part, if you go to a grocery store, if you go to socials, if you work at a place where you're with other people, that brings out this extroversion as being around groups of people. Now, you may not be talking with them and they may not charge you, but I think there's still like you channel something to turn on this, okay, I'm about to go out in public. I need to turn on this extroversion, this extroverted side of me, which I guess leads me to the third personality type, and that's ambivert. Ambiverts are a hybrid of introvert and extrovert. Also, let me just side salad here, because extrovert, let me just tell you, it's extro, EXTROVERT. But extroverts are often considered extra. And I think when we say intro and extrovert, it's extrovert. And I get it. We can be loud. We can steal the spotlight. But that's the thing. I think I learned that I am more ambivert, or I am ambivert. And I think that goes back to what Tracy said, is that, Savion, you are more introverted than you think you are. And Wes would say the same thing. He mentioned that I tend to disappear at social gatherings. And this is something I reflected on recently, was that is so true. I was just at a wedding recently, and even then I found myself leaving the party, going to sit on a bench by myself. Now, I was also feeling sick. We were on a boat. I think there's like a little nausea happening, maybe also under the influence. So there's that. But I wonder if there was also this part of wanting to get away from people. And even though I think back over the last year, there were definitely times where I would leave. I'd end up outside on someone's balcony or porch and just like breathing. There were times, social Thanksgivings or holidays, I oftentimes would find a quiet space and take a nap. And I'm thinking, was I full, or was my introverted self overwhelmed? And that's something that you can check in with yourself. Is that also how you feel? Are there times when you are just like needed to take this time to yourself to recharge? I would say that there's also times where I think I am recharged by other people. And that's where refilling your cup from others come into mind for me. Because what is it that refills your cup? I guess coming back to that, what is it that refills your cup? But also thinking about what it is or who it is that empties your cup. Who are those people that drain you? Or what are those things that drain you that force you to refill your cup in the first place. That right there is a reflective moment to be like, I'm sorry, like this relationship, this ain't for me. You are exhausting. I'm maybe not saying that to someone, but if that's that might also be your relationship with that person and you can have that conversation, but it can be kind of insulting to have that as an extrovert and being called extra a lot aloud, to be also told you're draining can be kind of an insult as well. But that's just something to think about, is are the people that you surround yourself with intentionally, those people that you surround yourself with intentionally, are those people ones that refill your cup? Are those social gatherings or people who empty your cup? And if that's the case, do you have space to refill your cup with something else? Again, maybe that's a walk, maybe that's with video games, maybe that's with selective people. I wanted to talk a little bit more about ambiversion, because actually the majority of people are ambiverts. It's enjoying spending time with others, but also valuing your alone time and needing some time to recharge after social interactions. I'm finding out, or embracing more, I should say, that is me. I totally enjoy being around people. When I worked from home in 2020 to 2022, I worked from home and it was not bad. I really enjoyed it. I could take a break when I needed to clean, recharge, take a break from looking at a screen all day. But I also found myself working at coffee shops just to be around people. Now, that's not to say that was to recharge, but we are also people persons. We need community and we need others. We're creatures, we're animals. And just like animals, they have a pack. So do humans. I also found myself, when I go to the gym, talking so much. I would stop at the front desk. Also, this was a place that I worked at, so it was kind of like, hey. But I found, like, when it was my first time actually talking to another person, I did literally get recharged, and it was like word vomit, and I couldn't stop talking. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been missing people. So that's why I was also confused of being this introvert or an extrovert, because I can get recharged either way. But then until I found that there's ambiversion. So there's not black and white. There is this gray area, this hybrid. Ambiversion is the quality of having both introverted and extroverted personality traits. Unlike introverts who gain energy from solitude, or extroverts who feel energized by socializing, ambiverts fall somewhere in the middle. And while many people tend to assume that they are either intro or extro, research suggests that most people are actually ambiverts. And the research also should suggest that ambiverts may be better salespeople than either introverts or extroverts, because they can adapt their approach to the customer. And other studies point to the strength of ambiverts in academics. I think that the ambiverts are great just in social work environments, academia, and salespeople, because you want to have this role or personality that you can adjust to other people. And I think that was something I learned over time about ambiversion and about being an extrovert. Like, you have to be able to read the room and go, oh, okay, we're not at a level 90 today. We're just chill. We're at a 40. And so being able to calm your energy, it's kind of match the room, is what I also learned over time. Introversion, extroversion, ambivert, refilling your cup, moving into dessert. Yum, yum, yum. We need all of it. We need those introverts. We need extroverts. We need ambiverts. We balance each other out. We all have a place here in the world, in society, and we can really feed off of each other and learn from each other. Introverts helped me realize kind of like the dynamic of the room, of the gathering, the space. So does extroverts. And I think maybe sometimes it's what's the majority. If there's a majority of extroverts, that there is going to be this high energy, but also realizing, I guess, what's the occasion. We're not trying to be extroverted at a funeral per se. That's typically a downer. We're bringing down our energy. We're sorry, that wasn't funny. I was thinking though, at a Black funeral, and maybe all funerals, I've been to just mostly Black funerals, where the energy can be kind of lower, right, during the funeral. And then you have the repast, you have this dinner afterwards. And folks, that's where like extroversion comes out, and folks are turning up, and there's just like this higher energy. I think that's a really good example of just knowing how to read a room and responding with such. But that also takes reflectiveness. That's when we channel that introversionness and being able to reflect on, how am I feeling right now? What am I bringing to the table? So that we're not always extra. Again, that was a very intimidating word. It's going to be, I think, triggering for people to feel that way, because that's not the intention, to be extra and loud. Sometimes it's just how we're feeling. We're just really excited, and it comes out in passion, and it comes out in this grand way. And sometimes we just don't even know how to control that. For like the final sip. So I thank you to my introverts who have helped me channel that part of myself, to learn more about what that means, what that looks like, how I can explore that more, be aware of it, and be okay with it. My name is Savion, and I identify as an ambivert. Okay, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Feed the Soul podcast, serving refills. That's deep. That's deep. Remember, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be this ambiverted world. Go in peace, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Feed the Soul podcast. Ooh, also, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but most importantly, leave comments, leave reviews. I really enjoy listening to stories, whether that's in person, right? Or reading your messages from people. It's so encouraging to hear that, to get that. And I'd love to share one with you right now. This was from a comment. Well, actually, no, someone messaged me. Really looking forward to an episode. If you haven't watched the one with my brother, we deep dive. Take a look. But this comment said that they look forward really to the Instagram reels and to the Instagram posts when I release a new episode. It really gets me excited. One day I actually laid in bed in peace and just listened. Failure is my favorite episode so far. It honestly makes you channel, the podcast in general honestly makes you channel and think about things you've held on to. And that's why they are waiting for this episode of Serving Healing. I feel like it's going to be that last step in the processing. Again, much appreciated to all the outreach I get from people on the episodes. Again, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person or one episode that I have, it may be the world. And it just means a lot to me to hear that feedback from you as well. Until next time.